In the more than 6 years since same-sex marriage was declared legal in Canada, thousands of scenes like this have played out at churches and city halls. But today, gay and lesbian couples who came to Canada to get married got some staggering news that according to Justice Department lawyers, they may not be legally married. The about-face, paired with comments from the Prime Minister, sparked dismay and suspicion from all sides. LAURIE Graham begins our coverage on this story for us from Ottawa. LAURIE.
Peter, it may not have been the federal government's intention to reopen the debate on same-sex marriage, but its lawyers did.
Welcome to St. John!
The moment Canada said yes to same-sex marriage, foreign couples whose countries said no came here by the thousands to say, "I do."
This country has a respect for all of its citizens.
But in a case involving two American women who are now seeking divorce, federal lawyers are arguing no need, not when they weren't married in the first place. In this case, neither party had the legal capacity to marry a person of the same sex under the laws of their respective domicile. As a result, their marriage is not legally valid under Canadian law.
They could have said all kinds of things. That's not what they did. They said, those aren't valid marriages. Having never said that to anyone.
The Prime Minister immediately tried to quell the controversy.
We have no intention of further reopening or opening this issue.
But that didn't stop the groundswell of emotion from all sides. Advocates of same-sex marriage worried the government is using the case to chip away at their rights.
Canada isn't prepared to have an open debate about this in the House of Commons, but it will use the administrative options at its disposal to try to narrow the effect of gay equality.
And opponents angry Harper's not willing to reopen the debate.
The Prime Minister should really stand up and reopen this debate.
Harper said he was unaware of the case, but the opposition wasn't buying it.
It's a little hard for him to make the argument because my sense of that government is he controls everything.
Mr. Harper is hiding behind the law and using a backdoor way to say to these loving couples that, sorry.
By late afternoon, Justice Minister Rob Nicholson issued this statement. "I will be looking at options to clarify the law so that marriages performed in Canada can be undone in Canada." But nothing about the question everyone was asking all day.
Does the government consider same-sex marriages of non-citizens to be legal or not?
The law recognizes same-sex marriage in Canada, and the government is not going to reopen that issue.
The Prime Minister may have chosen not to answer that question tonight, but it's hard to imagine it won't be asked again. Peter?
All right, LAURIE, thank you. LAURIE Graham in Ottawa tonight. Well, caught in the middle of all the politics are about 2,500 gay and lesbian couples who came to Canada from other countries to get married. Our Chris Brown spoke to some of them today. Chris.
Peter, St. Andrew's Wesley United Church behind me has seen a lot of gay wedding ceremonies, including quite a few involving couples from outside of the country. And some of them woke up today wondering if Canada had suddenly given them a divorce.
We do indeed feel duped.
Dan Savage is a syndicated sex columnist from Seattle and a legally married in BC husband to Terry Miller. At least he thought he was.
There's nothing on this certificate that says feed immediately into shredder doesn't mean anything. For Stephen Harper's government to now retroactively invalidate those marriages after the fact, that can't stand.
The implications, if it does stand, are also hitting home and hard for CARRIE Evans.
To have the complete strangers of Victoria, rooting us on, it was quite magical.
She and her partner Pam enjoyed a romantic beachside wedding on Vancouver Island 3 years ago. They now live in Baltimore, but visit her family in Saskatchewan regularly, and the what-ifs of suddenly not being married are sinking in.
Practical things. What happens if one of us is in an accident or gets sick in Saskatchewan and, has to make medical decisions for each other, and there's a chance that our marriage isn't being honored?
There are potentially very serious negative consequences. And division of property, if we should wind up divorcing, which I don't think we will, all sorts of things, hundreds and hundreds of rights that are conferred by the state.
Cross-border couples living here, such as Ginny Lundgren and Paulette Kubnicki, pondered what it means for them too.
The biggest issue would be is if I did move back to the United States.
though as long as they stay in Canada, it seems they're fine. But what about anyone planning to head up here to get hitched?
I'd say double check, but at the moment the law still stands, though it may be now in serious question.
Emotionally, it's just not even registering right now, except pure almost panic.
By the end of the day, despite 2 public appearances by the Prime Minister and a statement by his Justice Minister, the situation remains confused. So for many couples, a part of their lives that once seemed so certain, Peter, now is not.
Chris Brown in Vancouver. Thanks, Chris.